welcome to Waylander's Wandering, where today I'm going to be showing you the techniques I used to paint my Phobos Strike team for Kill Team by Games Workshop. I started off with a coat of Colourforge matte black to prime the miniature, and now it is time to give it an underbrush style dry brush. You know, I really should prepare this stuff beforehand. Never mind. Anyway, so we'll get a little bit of Mechanica Standard Grey onto our wet dry texture palette like so. Work the majority of it off the brush, and in an upwards motion, starting from the feet, working up the miniature, we will give an overbrush to the whole thing, working upwards with our medium-sized Masterclass dry brush from the Army Painter. So all over in an upwards manner. This will give you a kind of a low light effect when we come to paint the actual colours in a few moments. Once this is done, it is time to come in with our Citadel Corax White, and following a similar methodology, without cleaning the brush because it's unnecessary, we will come in a downwards motion from the top, and again overbrush the entire miniature. And because of the methodology here and the way we want this to work, what I will do is probably switch out for a slightly smaller brush, which we will get the Masterclass small dry brush, again nice and damp, towards the skin but not clumping or wet, using the edge of the brush because this picks up the paint better. Work the majority off on the palette, again coming in from the top, downwards motion, we will get these lovely highlights placed. So I will finish off these overbrushing, and I will leave him to completely dry. I will bring it back in, and it's time to put some colour on. Now that the underbrush and overbrush have both had time to dry nicely, it is time to come in with the second stage of the miniature, and this will be his armour. And as I've decided to go for a Blood Ravens colour scheme, we will be going over all the armor panels with Velvet Red from Vallejo Express Colour. So we get a couple of drops on the old palette, and coming in, being sloppy yet neat at the same time, so we'll get the paint where we want it. Very much attempt not to get paint where we don't want it. We will block in all of these armor panels with a good coat of Velvet Red, avoiding areas like the skin, the under armor, weapons and accoutrements. But if we do get any paint where we don't want it, we are at such an early stage that it is very easy to fix any mistakes, and well, quite honestly, these contrast style paints are kind of forgiving anyone. I will block all of this armour in and bring it back once everything is done and has had a moment to cure. Now that all that red's done, which dries such a beautifully matte cherry red colour, it's time to go through all the parts like the under armour, weapon casing and other parts are going to be metallic with Citadel Contrast Black Legion, which will contrast very well with the red, make our miniature pop. So being careful not to get any of this black onto the red, though as ever it is easy enough to come back, fix any mistakes. We will paint all the under armour, the metallic parts and anything else that I think that needs to be black. So I will sit here and paint all of this with the classic doing the fiddly bit coming out of the corner of the mouth pose. And bring you gentlemen and ladies back in once it's safe for me to not sit here with my tongue sticking out. Now that all that black is done, it is time to hit the pauldrons with Shabty Bone. The leather work is going to get a base layer of Corax White, and skin is going to get a base layer of Rakarth Flesh. So starting with the Corax White, you take a quite fine brush and just pick out the areas that are going to bend up the leather colour. So the holster, belts and straps. Now I will get on with the bits I've mentioned and then bring you beautiful, beautiful people back in. It's time for something else. Okay, now we get into the part where we're slightly beyond the ugly stage. And to bring us even closer to the finish line, the next parts are going to be copper brown express colour on all the leather work, which will be the holster, the belts and straps. Citadel contrast skeleton horde on a light coating over the shoulder pads here, the pauldrons. And finally, dwarf skin express colour over the face and the ribbons on these two purity seals. And then we will be so close to finished I can taste it. So let's start off with the dwarf skin. Get a couple of drips out. Should be plenty. Coming in, first off, what we want is generous coating on these ribbons without pooling too much, which will give us a nice instant shade and highlight. And because contrast paints can be a little bit slapdash with it, which is always nice, but sometimes getting the job done quickly is an absolute pleasure. Then into the face, Same thing, try not to get any to the places that aren't face. And I will carry on with this, and it's a similar method for the copper brown and the skeleton horde. I'll bring you back in when these have had time to dry nicely. Okay, that's those contrasts put on and drying nicely. So while we wait for those to finish off drying, let's get some of these metallics on. And we will start off with Citadel Lead Belcher, straight from the pot, on pretty much all the metallics. So the dagger blade, the silvered weapon parts, and some little bits on these doobers on the power plant. So I will get all of this metallic seen to, and that will leave us just enough time at the end here to show you how I put water slide decals on. Put a chapter badge on that pauldron. So I will get all of this metallic done, and I will bring you back in for decal time. Now that we've got all the metallics done as well, the miniature is pretty much finished, except for one vital aspect, which will be the shoulder pad decal. So choosing this shoulder pad, the first stage will be to take a gloss varnish, for which I will be using Citadel Technical Art Coat, good God, and we'll give it a nice even coat of the art coat all across this pauldron. This will give us a smooth, shiny surface to place the water slide decal on after this is dried, that will allow me to not only get the transfer on the decal, but because it's a smooth, shiny surface, I will have a little bit of working time to move it around and get it positioned nicely. This is going to take a minute or two to dry, so as soon as this smash cut has gone by, we will start with the actual application of the decal. Now that gloss varnish has had time to dry, it's time to actually put on the decal. So I've separated one from my sheet, and using a pair of reverse action tweezers, which will hold the decal quite nicely, I'll put it in some water and wait a second or two for it to loosen from the backing sheet. Okay, for the next stage you'll want a clean, dry paintbrush, which you can use to lift the decal from the backing sheet, and positioning the model where you want it, gently place on the shoulder. And you can now use the brush to get everything positioned. So that's actually gone on pretty well for the first try. But now that we've got it positioned, what we'll use this product, which is called Microsol, which you just get a quick brush full of the liquid, and this will soften the decal to the extent that it will now mold itself to the curved surface of the pauldron. It's a very useful tool for models which have obviously curved surfaces like this, and it's probably less useful if you're doing model aircraft or tanks and things, so large flat surfaces. But for models like this, that will mold it to the corner. Now give your brush a rinse, because this stuff is super horrible. So always keep the tops on neatly. The next thing you can do is take a cotton bud, gently dab across the surface to lift any excess moisture. And then taking the micro set, which is a setting solution, we will again paint over the decal itself, and there we have a perfectly applied decal. All that's left now to do, of course, is a quick coat of matte varnish to take away that shine, which I will do after I have based it. And I think this time, because it's been a while, I will actually show you the basing. So as soon as I'm ready, let's get on with basing our miniature. To base this miniature, what I'm going to do is take Citadel Colour Technical Sterling Battlemire, or possibly Sterling Mud, because I want this nice earthy effect, maybe even a mix of the two, because I think one is grittier than the other, and put a nice even or kind of lumpy coat all along the top of the base, and this tactical rock really seems to be standing on. And we will use the fat end of the spatula to get a big old blob of technical paint out, plop it on the base. For the areas where basically where his feet are, we will use the fat end of the stick, trying to use a kind of a dabbing method there, like so, to get a roughish texture, and then using the smaller end we'll come in and do the final push, getting the texture paint right up into all these nooks and crannies, as they say. So get another blob, reasonable size, splodge it on, push it around a bit using the flat spade end, and come in with the smaller, push it into all the nooks and crannies. Now this is going to take around an hour to dry, so since it's lunchtime I'm going to go and eat, and our young blood raven here is going to sit and wait for me to come back. So while this stuff is curing, I'm going to go and eat, and you can experience another quick smash cut. Now that our texture paint has had time to dry, and I've given it a quick wash over the top of Agrax Earthshade so that there's something in those depths which will give it a kind of a damp look, what we'll do is dry brush across the surface with Citadel Mornfang Brown, using one of these flat style dry brushes, just to bring out the tops. And we'll very quickly pop across with this all over. Don't worry about the style of brush that we use for this. Get it on, and and then we will have another very quick dry brush of Baylor brown. Just to get, oh, it's a little bit heavy. That's going to get a tuft on it later. Just to give sort of some, like where the mud's dried and gone pale effect, and that is pretty much that. All that's left to do is go around the rim of the base with a Baden black, which would be a coat or two, after which I will go with a squirt of matte varnish from the Colour Forge, or if you don't have that, you can always use Munitorium varnish from Citadel or whatever varnish you have, but preferably a nice matte colour. Stick a few tufts on to cover up any things like that, and our miniature will be finished, and we'll have a quick look at the finished model after that. So there we have it, Phobos Strike Team Space Marine in the Blood Raven colours, and there we go. I think he looks quite good actually. All that remains is to add them to his brothers, and we're ready to go and play some Kill Team. I hope you found some of the techniques that I've shown in this video useful. I hope you've learned something. I hope you've been entertained. If you like the work that I do, don't forget to share, subscribe, like the video. If you want to help further, though of course it is not necessary at all, you can use the Ko-fi QR code on screen or the link in the description down below. Or if that doesn't suit you and you just want to buy some miniatures for your very self, you can use my affiliate link in the down below or the QR code on screen now to purchase your paints, models and other materials from the awesome Mighty Lancer Games in Bridlington, where I get all of my stuff from, who will give me a little kickback because you shopped at their store using my links. Anyway, that's enough rattle from me. I've been Waylander. You've been absolutely amazing. See you again soon. I love your faces, and goodbye.